Applying for Social Security benefits is one of the most important financial decisions that we make in retirement. Now, before couples make this very important decision, there's some concepts that they must fully understand. So in this video, I'm going to share with you 3 secrets that all couples need to know in claiming Social Security benefits. All right, so let's get started. Secret number 1 is this: knowing how to calculate your exact full retirement age is very, very important. And notice I'm talking about exact, which means your exact month and year. I meet people all the time that say, well, I think it's 66 and 6 months or 66 and 8 months, not really sure though, but you need to know that, all right? So let's talk about why that really matters. Here's why. First off, if you take your Social Security benefits before you hit your exact full retirement age, again, month and year, monthly benefits for Social Security will be permanently reduced. You're going to get a reduction, and it's lifetime. All right, now, another reason you need to know this is because if you take your Social Security benefits after you hit your full retirement age, those benefits are actually going to be increased. And again, that's going to be a permanent adjustment up with your Social Security benefit. Now, there's another very important reason we need to know this is because if you decide that you're going to keep working while you're taking Social Security benefits, here's what happens. Taking Social Security benefits before you have hit your exact full retirement age, again, month and year, this earnings test is going to be applicable, which means there's only so much money you're going to be able to make. I'll explain that here in just a few minutes, all right? Now, watch this. If I decide to take Social Security and keep working, if I've waited to my full retirement age or I've waited to take after, then that earnings test is no longer applicable. We don't have to worry about it whatsoever. So that's why I'm saying we've got to know exact month and year. All right, so I put together this chart to make sure you know exactly your full retirement age, month and year. Okay, now, anyone that is born between the years of 1943 and 1954 will have a full retirement age of 66 even, no additional months. But after 1954, the government began to add 2 months to everyone's full retirement age based upon their birth year. All right, so anyone that's born in 1955 actually has a full retirement age of 66 plus 2 months. 1956, 66 plus 4 months, 1957. We had 6 months, 1958. We're going to add 8 months, 1959. We're going to add 10 months. And then in 1960, really thereafter, everyone has a full retirement age of an even 67 years and 0 months. All right, so let's do just a quick example to make sure we're clear on this. Now, I am shooting the video today. It's 5/28/2024. And let's just suppose that someone is turning 65 today. Okay, meaning they're eligible for Medicare during the month of May. And so they're turning 65, and so that means they had a birthday of 5/28/1959. All right, and so 1959 birth dates have a full retirement age of 66 plus 10 months. So what is their exact month and year? So here's the way we do this. We know that they're going to turn 66, 5/28/2025. Okay, so that would be their 66th birth month, but they're not yet full retirement age. Why? Because we got to add 10 months to it. And so the way we count those 10 months is this. We're going to count June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March. So March of 2026 will be their exact full retirement age, month, and year. Now listen to this, not to be confusing, what I'm going to clarify. If someone's born on the first day of the month, we actually would move them to the previous month for Medicare as well as Social Security. But if I'm born on the second day thereafter, it's the birth month that matters. So it wouldn't matter if I was born the 2nd of May or the 31st of May, I'm going to hit my full retirement age March of 2026. All right, so that's the way you're going to count the months. So you can see the chart, and now we know how to count the exact months to get that exact month and year. All right, that brings us into secret number 2, and that's this. You need to know all your options for Social Security benefits because there's a couple of them, and you want to make sure that you're selecting the right one. So let's go through these options. So the first option we have is to take what we just referred to as retirement benefits. This means that you are taking benefits off of your own work record. And so we're going to answer some questions about each one of these benefits that we may be eligible for. The first one is this: how do I qualify to get Social Security retirement benefits? Well, you have to have at least 40 quarters, which is 10 years worth of work, paid into the Social Security tax system. As long as you have those, and again, most of you probably have 30 or 40 years paid into the tax system, we have to have at least 10 years if we're going to draw benefits off of our own work record. Now, second question is, how much will you receive? Well, that really depends upon how much you have paid into the Social Security system. So let me show you the formula that they follow to decide what your benefits are going to look like. So first off, what happens is they're going to take your top 35 years of earnings. Now, if you only work 30 years, you're going to have some zeros in those other 5 years. But they're going to take the top 35 years, and what they do is they apply this to actually an index. Well, why is that? Well, they want to inflate those to current dollars today, because what I made 25 years ago is certainly worth much more today. So they inflate that up for all the earnings we made all the way through age 60. So they will be indexed up to increase that. So they take these top 35 years, and what they're arriving at is what they call your total lifetime earnings. And for most people, this is going to be probably a few $1 million or maybe even more than that. But they're going to take that total lifetime earnings, all top 35 years. It's all inflated up. And then this is going to give us then a number that they're going to take this number here, whatever that is, and they're going to divide that by 420 months. That is 35 years. Okay, so that total, which again could be a few $1 million, divided by 420, and then that's going to give us a very important number, and that is called our average index monthly earnings. Average index monthly earnings. So total earnings divided by 420 gives us that. Now, I'm just going to give you just a very simple example, some math that I did in advance of shooting the video. Let's say that our earnings total average is $5,000. And that would be your average index monthly earnings of $5,000. They take what that number is, and yours could be $12,000, it could be $7,000, it could be $3,500, whatever that number is. They're going to apply that number to what they call bend points. Bend points. And basically these bend points are just simply a percentage of what your average index monthly earnings will be. And these bend points, of course, are established for this whole system to decide what your full retirement age benefit will be by the bend points. So let me explain what they are today in 2024. Here's what we have. We have the first bend point is $1,174. The next bend point is $7,078. So what we get with bend points is of the first $1,174 of my $5,000, I actually get 90% of that amount. All right? And then anything above $1,174 up to $7,078, I'm going to get actually 32% of that. All right. Now, in my example of 5,000, that just simply would mean the difference between 5,000 and 1,174, I would get 32% of that. So whatever these numbers are, we're building the formula for our full retirement age benefit. Now, if I'm above 7,778, in this example we're not, but if I was, then I actually get 15% of that amount. All right? And so all of this is going to arrive at what the government calls our primary insurance amount. And that benefit, primary insurance amount, is exactly what we get at full retirement age. So if my full retirement age is 67, this formula here is going to determine exactly what I get. Now, if I take my benefits before then, I'm going to take less. If I take my benefits after my full retirement age, then my benefits is going to be increased above my primary insurance amount. So this is the formula that they're going to follow to determine how much you're going to receive. Hey, if you found this video helpful and you want to see more Medicare information just like it, then go below, right below the video, and you can give us a thumbs up as well as subscribe to our channel. And every time I put a new video, which is about 2 every week, you'll be notified of that video, and others just like you who need this vital information will get it as well. All right, that brings us into question number 3, and that's this: when can you apply? Well, for our own retirement benefits, we can apply as soon as the age of 62 and anytime up until age 70. We should never apply after 70 because that benefit amount cannot grow. Again, somewhere in between here is going to be our full retirement age, right? So if I take early, I take less. If I take later, I'm going to get an increased benefit. So that's what you have to decide when you want to apply based upon your financial situation and how much you would like to receive in Social Security benefits. That brings us into question number 4. And so what we want to be clear on with what we call special considerations is if indeed I decide that I'm going to go ahead and take my Social Security benefits before I hit my full retirement age, as I said earlier, now we're actually going to be subject to what is called the earnings test. The earnings test. All right? Now, remember what I shared with you earlier. If I go to full retirement age or go beyond, I don't have to worry about earnings test. But if I'm going to take my own retirement benefits and I'm taking Social Security early before full retirement age, now I'm going to be subject to this earnings test. So let me explain exactly how this works. Okay? Now, when I teach this, I teach it this way. We actually have what we would call a low earnings test number, and we have a high earnings test number. Okay? All right, so let's go back to my example that I said earlier. We had someone that was turning 65 today, and we said their birthday was 5/28 of 2024. You'll recall that was 66 and 10 months to arrive at full retirement age, and that gave us a full retirement age of 3/1 of 2026. Right? And so low earnings test means this. This person with the date of birth of 1959, they could have started taking Social Security at age 62. So they could have started taking their benefits May 1 of 2021. All right? Now, if they would start at 62, May 1, 2021, all the way up until, watch this, all the way through December of 2025, this person is subject to the low earnings test number. This year in 2024, that number is $22,320. So what that means, as long as their wages at work, their earnings, and that's what they test when we talk about earnings, it's only your working wages, your commissions, your W-2 income, your net self-employment income. It has nothing to do with any other income. No pensions, no distributions from IRAs. They're not going to catch your spouse's income. No rental income, no investment income, just working wages. And that number would be $22,320 all the way from age 62 up until December before the year I turn full retirement age. And so if I make above that, for every $2 I make above the earnings test, they take $1 out of my Social Security benefit. All right? So that's why we're saying there's consequences for taking early. Now, that's prior to the year I turn. Now, watch what happens. The year I turn full retirement age, now notice, this is my exact month and year. So in my example here, this would be from 1/1 of 2026 all the way through February of 2026. So it's only 2 months. Because remember, once I hit my full retirement age month and year, I don't have an earnings test. You can make as much as you want and keep working. But for these 2 months, I'm going to be subject to an earnings test. And so the higher amount this year is $56,520. And that, by the way, is for the whole year. If it's just for 2 months, they don't prorate it. You can make $56,520 in 2 months. It doesn't matter because it's an annual amount. But what happens is if I make above that limit, the higher number, for every $3 I make above, they take $1 out of my Social Security benefit. But remember, once I hit full retirement age, this earnings test is going to weigh my earnings. Wages are no longer going to be subject to that. So when we talk about special considerations on your retirement benefits, you have to know that you could be subject to the earnings test if we take before full retirement age. All right, so that's special consideration number 1, has to do with the earning test. Just one more special consideration you have to be aware of if you're going to take your own retirement benefits, and that is this. We have a rule that is called the deeming provision. Deeming provision. All right? Now, this doesn't apply to all Social Security benefits, but it's going to apply if a person is subject, they're eligible for their own retirement benefits or they're eligible for spousal benefits, and I'm going to talk about next. And what that means is when we apply now for Social Security, we are applying and we're deeming to apply for every benefit we're available for, and we have to take the highest of those benefits. So we may say, I'd like to take a spousal benefits, but if your own retirement benefit is a greater amount, then you have to take that retirement benefits, because everyone today applying for Social Security have this deeming provision rule they have to live within, and so it requires them to take whatever is the greatest amount available. So in the old days, we used to kind of pick and choose what we would take, and we could actually grow accounts. Can't do that today with retirement benefits. So if your own benefit at 100%, retirement benefit is greater than spousal at 50%, then you're going to have to take your own. So those are the two special considerations: earnings test and deeming provision. All right, now let's look at the next one. All right, so our next option for Social Security benefits will be spousal benefits. And again, we're going to answer the same questions. How do we qualify for spousal benefits? Well, right now, if you're presently married to someone, you're married to them, and as long as your marriage has lasted 1 year or longer, okay, 1 year or longer, and that person that you're married to is already taking Social Security benefits, so they already have to be taking, then you are actually eligible to draw spousal benefits. So when can you do that? Well, you can do that as soon as you hit 62. So that's the rules. Been married for 1 year. They are already taking for Social Security benefits. They've had to apply, because if they have not yet applied for their own benefits, you cannot apply for spousal in today's present system. But if they're taking, then you can, as long as you are at least 62 years old. All right, now the question is, how much will you receive? Now, as a general rule, you're going to receive spousal benefits of 50% of your spouse's full retirement age benefit. It doesn't matter when they took, whether late or early, doesn't matter. It's whatever they were eligible for at their full retirement age, and then you're going to get 50% of that if you also take at your full retirement age, because you'll see here in just a few minutes, if you decide to take spousal prior to your full retirement age, then there's going to be a reduction in the benefit. Okay, so again, it's limited to 50% if that person is still living. All right, now let's talk about number 3 question. When can you apply? Again, same thing is going to apply. If you want to start taking those benefits at 62 and they're taking, then you're eligible to apply for their benefits. Last question is this: special considerations. Just like the other form of taking Social Security retirement benefits, if you decide to take spousal, you are going to be subject to the earnings test, right? Now, once I hit my full retirement age, let's say it's 67, then that earnings test goes away. But if I take any time prior to full retirement age, again, you can only make so much money, $22,320 for the bulk of that period of time. It increases to $56,520 the year that return full retirement age. All right. So again, we're going to be subject to the earnings test. Deeming provision also applies. When you apply right now, let's say you want 50% spousal, but your own retirement benefit is going to be greater, then you'll take retirement and not spousal. All right, so that was retirement, and then we had spousal, and now we have survivor. Now, I know if you're watching this, you're probably still married, but if your spouse were to pass away, then you're now eligible for a different type of Social Security benefit that's called survivor benefits, often referred to as widow or widower benefit. So again, let's answer the same 4 questions. First off, how do you qualify for survivor benefits? Well, clearly your spouse has passed away, and so you had to be married to that spouse at least 9 months or longer. So in other words, if they died while you're married, you're going to have to prove with a marriage license you're married 9 months or longer to be able to qualify for those benefits. Second question is, how much will you receive? Well, as a general rule, when it comes to survivor benefits, what's going to happen is you're going to get 100%, or at least you're eligible for 100% of what they would have been eligible for at the time of their passing, 100% of that benefit. Now, if you take early, of course, you're going to take less. That's going to happen for sure, but we're eligible for 100%. Remember, spousal, the spouse that was alive was 50%. Now, this is a spouse or even an ex-spouse that's deceased. We're going to get 100% of that benefit. Now, third question, when can you apply? Well, we actually can apply for survivor earlier than when we could our own retirement benefits, and that's where we actually can apply at age 60. And in fact, if you're still raising children that are still in the home, that are under the age of 19, then you can actually start as early as 50. Most people, that's not their situation, so most people can then apply for survivor widower benefits at the age of 60. Now, let's talk about special consideration, because this is a little bit different. The first thing when it comes to special consideration, if you do take survivor's benefit, you are still subject to the earnings test, which means if you're taking widower benefits and you're still working, you can still only make so much money. Again, that low number, remember, was $22,320 from age 60 up until the year before you turn full retirement age. The year I turn, I can make more, $56,520. And then once I've hit my full retirement age, then again, there's no more earnings test. So we're still subject to the earnings test if we take early. All right, now, one special consideration that applied to retirement as well as spousal benefits does not apply here, and that's this. And that is the deeming provision. Okay, remember, deeming provision said that when you apply for benefits, you got to take whatever's the greatest amount you're applying, and you're going to get the benefit that is in your best interest, that greatest amount. Okay, but when it comes to taking a survivor benefit, this deeming provision does not apply. You actually can go ahead and take your survivor benefit, and your own retirement benefit will continue to grow. So what a lot of people do is they will take survivor benefit up until age 70 because it's growing at 8% a year, and then once they reach age 70, then they turn on their own benefit because that's a way they could have maxed out. So if your own benefit at age 70 is greater than what you're getting for the survivor benefit, then you can stop survivor and then take that own retirement benefit. So my whole point is deeming provision is not a special consideration for this particular benefit. Hey, Medicare can be very confusing. In fact, people make mistakes all the time because of how confusing it is. So what I've done is I've actually created a Medicare, notice this, Essentials Workshop, where you have the opportunity to really learn everything that you need to know about Medicare so that you can make Medicare decisions. There are thousands of people every month that watch this workshop, and we get lots of reviews saying that this is something that really was helpful to them. And so what you can do is down here below in the comments section, you'll see where it says pinned comment. At the very top of those pinned comments is a link. And you click on that link, what we're going to do is we're going to give you free access to this Medicare Essentials Workshop. And we want you to watch it because we don't want you to make any mistakes. All right, that brings us into secret number 3, also critical to know, and that's this. You need to know what happens when you decide to take your Social Security benefits, either before or after you've hit your full retirement age benefit. Now, the implications of taking before or after really are the same when it comes to our own retirement benefits or if you're taking widow or widower benefits. Now, I want to keep this very simple. Let's say that someone has a full retirement age of 67, which meant what? That means they were born in 1960 thereafter. And let's say their full retirement age benefit, remember that number was called the primary insurance amount. Went through that whole calculation to come up with that benefit that we're going to get on a monthly basis. So let's say that benefit is $2,500. Now, we know we can take retirement and survivor benefits early for sure. Even survivor, we can actually go back all the way to age 60. But here's what I want to teach you. As we take a benefit early, we're going to take less. So if I take 1 year early, I am going to lose 6% of my $2,500. If I take 2 years early, I'm going to lose 12%. 3 years early, I'm going to lose 18%. 4 years early, I lose 24%. And if I take all the way as early as I could, I'm going to lose a full 30% of the benefit. So my benefit is reduced permanently from $2,500 down to $1,750. And so people oftentimes take early because they need the cash flow. But sometimes people don't need the cash flow, but they need to understand there's an implication for taking this benefit earlier. Some decide they want to, and some not. So let me tell you what we do as financial advisors. We're always looking at the break-even point. What does it really cost me to take this benefit early? So let me explain. So if I decide to take early, what's happened, that means that I've had $1,750 for a full 5 years. That's 60 months. So I'm going to take this $1,750 and I'm going to multiply that times 60 months. So because I took early, I actually had cash in my bank account of $105,000. Right? And so, but what did I give up? Well, you can see what I gave up. The difference between these was $750. I took less. So we take that $750 into that $105,000, and that gives us a break-even point. So let me do that. So that is 140 months. So if I take that 140 months and I divide that by 12, that gives me 11 years, 11 2/3 years, which would be 11 years and 8 months. So let me tell you what that means. That means this, that if I live beyond, I have 6711, so let's just call it 12. If I live beyond 79 years thereafter, then I may have regretted the fact that I gave up that $750. But if someone passes away prior to that break-even point, that was a good decision. Of course, none of us know when we're going to pass away, but the whole point is you got to decide, is it worth it for you to give up that $750? If you live a long life, a longevity, beyond the norm, then you may regret that decision. All right, so that's called the break-even point. So that's the implication. Now, if we decide that we want to take after our full retirement age, what happens? Again, we said my full retirement age is 67, and so what can happen here? I actually can grow this account. All right, and so I can grow it. Here was my full retirement age amount of $2,500, but now I can grow at 8%. Now I can grow at 16%, and now I grew at a full 24%. All right, so that $2,500 benefit, I grew it at 24%, actually was an additional $600, And so now I'm going to get a benefit over here. And let me erase this here. This benefit here is going to be $3,100. Okay, $3,100 a month instead of $2,500. So I grew it by $600. So again, let's do the break even. So I could have had $2,500 for 36 months. So we take $2,500 times 36. I could have had $90,000 in my bank account had I taken it full retirement age, but I chose to delay 3 years. And I grew my account $600 in benefit. So we take $600 into that, and that would be a break even of 150 months. Divide that by 12. That gives me 12.6 months. So 12 years and 6 months. So what's that mean? That means as long as I live to be 82 and a half or longer, then that would be a good decision to go ahead and delay that to grow that account by $600. And again, we don't know when we're going to pass away, but for people who have longevity in their family, maybe mom or dad lived to be 90, 95 years old, high likelihood you may live that long as well. And so if you don't have the cash flow, sometimes it pays off to go ahead and grow that account, that additional 24%. All right, that brings us then to the last scenario, and that would be, again, knowing when to take. If I'm going to take spousal benefits, remember what that was. Spouse is still alive. I'm going to take their benefits, and which is typically 50% of what that spouse is eligible for at full retirement age. You would get that if you took that at your own full retirement age. But let's just say you decide to take it earlier than that. So let's go back and let's talk about this. So we have a spouse that had a full retirement age of 67. They were eligible for $2,500 in their own benefit, and you're taking spousal, so you're eligible for 50% of that. So if you wait to your own full retirement age, that's the amount that you're going to get deposited in your checking account every single month. Okay, now, if you decide to take early, again, we're going to lose. But what I'm trying to teach you is the spousal benefit penalty is greater than the retirement or survivor benefit penalty. And so I'm not trying to get overly technical with you here, but the way this works is if I take 1 year early, 12 months early, I actually lose 6.94%, okay? And so let's just call it 7% so it's close. It's actually 25 divided by 36, so 36%. So it's 6.94% for the whole year. So if I take 2 years early, then I would have lost 14%. If I take 3 years early, I'm going to lose 21%. Now here's where it changes. Then what they say, so I have this greater penalty for the first 3 years if I take early, but if I take 4 years early, they take out an additional 5% at 62. I lose another 5%, all right? And so what's happened here in this period of time, I have lost a full 30% of my benefit, all right? I was eligible for $1,250 if I waited to my full retirement age, but I took it 62, 5 years early, so I lost a full 30%. So that benefit would be $862.50. That's a 30% reduction. So again, let's talk about could this be a good decision? And so if I had this cash flow of $862.50 a month for 60 months, that means they deposited in my bank account $51,750 that I had in cash flow. But what did I get? What did I give up? I had $1,250, $862.50 minus. So I gave up $387.50 in cash flow. I took that amount of reduction. So again, we divide that through that. So it's going to be $51,750 divided by that. It gives me 133 months and a half. So 133.50. Okay. And so that's going to be divided by 12, and so that's going to be 11 years and a couple months, okay? And so we would take that amount of money, this difference here, and say if I took early and I lived beyond, what would that be? 78 years old. So if I lived 78 years old and beyond, then by taking that early, it cost me almost $400 a month. And again, you have to decide your own cash flow, longevity of life. And so my whole point to you is if we decide to take spousal early, there is a greater penalty than would be taken if we're taking our own. And so everyone has to decide their own longevity of life. Do they need the money before they make this very important decision? And remember, that spousal benefit is also subject to the earnings test. So if you decide to take early and you make above those limits, they're going to reduce that even more.